It started with a car lacking downforce. It continued with the same car fighting for many of the closest finishes in iRacing history. And it keeps on rolling today where the Lotus 49s take to the track for a phenomenal battle at Motorsports. And you'll see all the action live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I am Chad Irvine. Here with me today is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes, our director Sean Ambrose, and cameras are provided by the great Dougie Beard. Daytona gave us some superb racing last week with a couple of some of the closest battles in iRacing history. But we can't let those close finishes stop us from talking about some fantastic racing we expect to see here in today's race. Let's step aside from remote and take a look at this week's track guide.
Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide.
And Ryan, what a fantastic race we had last week, but we got to look at today's race. Talk us through this intense Canadian Tire Motorsports Park track.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic track, Mosport. It's been around for quite some time, and it's went through some changes in the past due to safety reasons. And today, the track is 2.45 miles in length, or 3.95 kilometers. It's got 10 turns, and quite amazing, really, with kind of how small not small, but kind of relatively small as the track is. And your passing zones are going to be turn 5 into Moss, and also, or even turn 10 Whites, and then you've got a long run down the back straight, down the Mario Andretti straightaway, which you can try and make a move on if you get a good exit on the exit of Moss. But passing around Mosport is going to be difficult, and I think these Lotus 49 cars here today could be on the edge, you could say.
Yeah, that long straightaway there on your screen that you see, that's the Mario Andretti Speedway, and it goes on what feels like forever. Like, these guys are going to make it look easy here today, as these cars do not like to handle some of these elevation changes that we're about to see them take to the track with. Man, we have some intense points battles on our hand, including a tie in the F1 Championship. And there you see it, Rob Olenek and Topi Courtniemi, both tied with 95 points, both with a win and a second place between them. Then Mick Claridge sits 15 points back. Ove Trengrade with 21 points off of the lead. Then Bill Tyler and Colin Bentley wrap up the top 5 there.
Yep, and the F2 Championship at the moment, it's still all to play for, and it's still really close at the top, with Finland's Pekka Risto still leading that championship, with Andre Schumacher from Germany 14 points further back in second. And then rounding out the top 3 is another Finnish driver, Hideki Koivisto, 17 points further back. And then you've got Andrew Eng from the United States in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is Emmanuel Pereira. So at the moment, it's still really close in the championship, and it's hard to call.
And we also have our Nations Cup, where the U.S. and Finland both tied there at 95 points. And the United Kingdom sits 15 points behind. Then Norway, Germany, and France, they're wrapping up the top 5 as well. These guys every week put on such a phenomenal battle for the first position, for the 5th position, all throughout the field. And there you see the race details. A little bit longer of a race today, up to 50 starters, of course, but 27 laps. It is open setup, and that's part of the fun of it. But really, the biggest thing is so many more laps than we're used to seeing here in these cars. The last couple weeks have been circuits where it's been 10, 12, 15 laps. So going up to 27 is going to be a little bit different for these guys.
Yep, absolutely. As we're just in the middle of qualifying at the moment, and currently at the top of the standings in qualifying is Finland's Topi Korteniemi, who took a well-deserved victory last week, and it was you could say it was one of those a long time coming wins, because he's been up there at the front most of the time, but it's just luck's not went his way. But Topi continuing his form at the moment in qualifying as Mick Claris comes across the line, and looks like he's starting his qualifying lap at the moment as he heads through turn 1.
And this is on board here with Mick Claridge just starting his lap. Has not put a time in yet, so this is going to be his first qualifying lap. And here you see him going through some of the early corners here, and man, it just the way he hugs these corners, hits the apex, and sawing at that steering wheel. It's definitely not the easiest of tracks here on iRacing.
Yeah, I'd probably say this track is one of the most difficult to get around. It's one of those tracks that invites you to kind of just carry some more speed than you want to in some of these corners. But as Mick heads onto the Mario Andretti straightaway, it looks like to be a decent lap at the moment. And Mick Claridge, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the top. But consider just looking at his lap, it looks to be really smooth. So at the moment, it's looking really smooth at the moment. But like you said, Chad, he hugs that inside curve, and this corner here, it's like a double right-hander, well, double apex right-hander if you like, as he comes around the final corner now, and it looks, we'll see what time he'll do.
And across the line with a 1:15.4, that puts him to the top of the timing for the moment. Both Korteniemi and Olenek have both put in all of their qualifying laps, but he's got one more. This is a look at Bentley coming through the S's, and this is going to be his second lap. Can he improve? No, he will not. Must have had a moment there on his second qualifying attempt. Koivisto across the line, and he will not improve either. He's at a 1:17.5, and that's currently good enough for the middle of the pack. Trengrade then does not improve. Murakami can't either. He sits in the 8th spot. But these guys really trying hard, just pushing through every lap that they can. Wallbank seems to be struggling just a little bit. He's well off the pace. Mick Claridge now coming around through the Mario Andretti straightaway. And it's called a straightaway. There's a couple of kinks in it, but you go straight up a couple of hills into the S's here. And you go through White's corner, the final turn here at Motorsport, and he's going to come across the line, and he will not improve either. Donald Peak does improve, but doesn't move up the grid. Eugenio Massa now, and he's across the line with a 1:19.1. That's on board with Colin. Bentley completely missing the corner, almost getting into the attenuator just a bit. And that's Andrew Eng now. You see him coming into the pits. Hideki Koivisto across the line with a 1:17. He does improve, and that's good enough for 17th.
Indeed, as Murakami comes across the line now, but doesn't improve, so looks like most drivers have completed their qualifying laps. But looking at Donald Peak at the moment, currently 23rd, looks like he's on his second qualifying lap. And yeah, on the Mario Andretti straight away. And good to see Donald back out today again. And yeah, good to see him sporting the GSRC livery.
Yeah, only a couple guys still out on track. It looks like they've all put in their qualifying times and just using this to get a little bit of free practice out there. Donald Peak, you see him 23rd, getting as much practice as he can. He goes with a 118.6, but unfortunately that was his third lap, it looks like, so that will not move him up the board at all. Eugenio Massa just ran a 118.586, but I believe he must have had an incident somewhere, maybe an off track, because that lap did not count to set him a time for today's grid. Speaking of today's grid, let's take a look at the full field here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where Mick Claridge, with a phenomenal pole by 2/1000ths of a second over Topi Courtniemi. Then it's going to be Rob Olenek and Bill Tyler on row number 2. Or sorry, and Ove Trengrade on row number 2. Then Bill Tyler and Chris Murakami, row number 3. Gary Teal and Bruce Nelson on row number 4. And wrapping up your top 10 is Colin Bentley and John Olsen.
Starting in 11th is Yanni Lehman, with Laust Olsen starting in 12th. Emmanuel Pereira from France starts in 13th, with Robert Plumley 14th. Colin Bentley at 15th, 16th is Dave Cohen, with Hideki Calvisto in 17th, Andreas Bruno 18th, Michael Gringsinger in 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Andrew Eng.
And then from 21st on back, it's Roland Wallbank and Steve O'Malley, Donald Peak and Douglas Nelson, the top guys that set times, and then Eugenio Massa and Benoit Langevin wrapping up the field. 26 cars here for today's race, and it's going to be a spectacular one. There you see our grid starting to form up. These guys getting ready. What should be another spectacular show here in the Grand Prix Legends. All the drivers wishing each other the best of luck in the drivers' chat, and the grid almost full. You see one car missing there. That should be the number 8 of Bruce Nelson starting on the inside line. He now is in the car. He joins the grid, and the revs start to come up, waiting for the green flag. And there it is, underway here at Mosport. And a clean start from the guys out front. It's still going to be Claridge and Courtniemi, Olenek, and Bill Tyler, your top 4. They're all the way clean, but still battling further back.
Yep, and it looks like everyone's made it through the first couple of corners clean, relatively clean so far. There's not been any issues. But Mick Claridge again with a great start, and yeah, just what he needed, especially around Motorsport, because trying to make a move around, or trying to get by around the Motorsport is can be quite difficult, just due down to the nature of the track as they head up to Moss Corner now.
We've seen attrition come into play in some of the earlier races. There was a huge accident at on the opening lap back at Monza that took about 7 or 8 cars. This week, though, at Motorsport, we are getting around this track very clean and very fast. The only issue looks like Benoit Langevin is well off the pace, but he might just be taking it easy here through the early stages of the lap. You see them there coming around the final corner and completing lap number 1. That's just how quick the laps are here at Mosport. These guys absolutely pounding the asphalt, trying to get every bit that they can out of the car. And there you see what we've seen week in and week out. The top 3, Claridge, Courtniemi, and Olenek, just absolutely pulling away from everybody else. They've got about a second and a half on Bill Tyler.
Yeah, and sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, this is on board with Topi Courtniemi. You see him all over the gearbox of Mick Claridge, and he wants that top spot. You see him there out of a couple of the final quarters through this double right-hander, and he's going to go now down this long Mario Andretti straightaway, seeing if he can't make up the top spot from Mick Claridge.
Yep, absolutely. As they're heading up to heading up to turn out now. The S's and the Cortinemi just keeping in contact with Claridge, said, yeah, as they come through this tight, twisty section now, and Mick, as we're just about to ride on board with Rob Olnick as well, and Rob Olnick just watching what these guys are up to, and I think he's more than happy to do that. We know Rob in the past when he's in the early stages of a race, he's been more than happy to sit behind and just watch how the race pans out, and then he'll go for it towards the end, as Mick Claridge puts in the fastest lap of the race so far.
And this is further back. This is that battle for the 4th spot. Bill, Tyler, and Kiernan as well are in this battle. NC Kiernan battling for the 4th spot. They're also followed by Snelson, Murakami, and Teal. And these guys all fighting very hard. Something to note is Ove Trengrade. He's been up there the first couple of races in the fighting for the leader, with the leaders at least. And this week he's pretty far back. He had a huge moment just a lap ago, going off track down the Mario Andretti straightaway. And unfortunately, towards the end of it, he did not collect the wall, but you can see some damage to the nose of that car. So definitely a little bit of damage there that might ill impact the handling of that number 4 machine. This is further up in this pack. This is Tyler and Kiernan, and they are just fighting it out through the S's now, through the penultimate corner, and they're going to come across the line to complete their 3rd lap of today's race.
Yep, absolutely. And Bill Tyler is one of those drivers that on his day he came right up there, as Rob Allred puts in a new fastest lap of the race so far. As further back in the field, we've got the battle for P10 going on at the moment between Jan Lehman, Laus Dawson, and Trengrade, and a few other drivers in this pack as well.
Yeah, and they look very racy. See them all the way down across, cutting maybe a tire or two onto the grass on the inside, and side by side out through this long, sweeping, double apex right-hander. And they're going to come onto this long little, not really a long straightaway, but one of the longer straightaways here at the track. They're going to go through the S's, or sorry, now. Oh, and there's contact there. Oh, and piling in there. Unfortunate to see Trengrade get collected in that, but hopefully his car is okay. Let's take a look on board with him at the replay. As they come across here and just absolutely nowhere to go. He just has to pile into that number 15. Looks like we have one car that has retired from the session. That's Benoit Langvin. We talked about his struggles early on. He is now in the pits. But back up front, the battle starting to heat up. Claridge has about 3/10 on Topi Koitniemi. Rob Olenek wants that 2nd spot, and hopefully all 3 of them are there at the end to fight for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. These 3 guys, or 3 drivers rather, have just managed to pull away from the rest of the pack and just build up a bit of a gap. So it's just proving that these guys have just got so much pace that they're able to pull away while they're still scrapping amongst themselves as they head up to Moss Corner again. And it's this corner, I find anyway, Chad, is one of the most difficult to get right, because you're kind of braking and turning at the same time, and it's sometimes you can go horribly wrong.
The biggest thing about that corner is getting the exit right. You can be slow on entry, but if you're slow on exit, you're going to lose so much time down this straightaway, even if you're sitting in the draft of the couple of cars in front of you, as we ride on board with Rob Olenek. Just absolutely crucial to your lap to make sure that that is the one corner that you get right. And Olenek, you see how hard he's pushing, almost getting onto the outside grass there coming out of the final corner. Now he goes through turn 1, this long right-hander, and he's got some work to do if he wants to catch back up, about 6/10 back of Topi Koitniemi.
As they head up to Quebec corner now, and still Clara's leading at the moment, but Koitniemi is ever since he took that one last week, he just seems to be beaming with confidence, and he just seems to be a form in this race so far, and I wouldn't rule him out of taking another win today if Mick Claridge has any issues. And
further back, there is a huge pack of cars. Plumlee is just out in front of these guys, but it's Coviso, Cohen, Bentley, Bruno, Gridsinger, and Ang, all right there just in a freight train of Lotus 49s as they now work their way down this long Mario Andretti straightaway.
Yep, absolutely. And as they come across the line now to complete another lap, heading down to turn 1, it's still Clara's leading from as this battle further back in the field is still going on at the moment. And back up at the front as well. So yeah, plenty of action going on at the moment.
And they call the Mario Andretti straightaway a straightaway. That doesn't talk about the elevation change. It looks like you're going up about 40 feet as you go across and crest the peaks over there. It's just incredible to see these cars handle all of this speed with all of these hills.
Yeah, absolutely. And headed up to Moss Corner again, and like I say, it's one of the most difficult corners to get right. And like you mentioned as well, Chad, the exit is absolutely critical, because that's you want a perfect exit to carry the speed. But still, it's Clara's leading, but Cortinemi is not letting him go.
No, they've pulled a little bit of a gap to Rob Olenek, who's about a second behind them now, but Cortinemi and Claridge putting on a fierce fight here as we work our way, wrapping up lap number 7 onto lap number 8 out of the final corner. It's still Claridge leading Cortinemi, then Olenek right there in the thick of things as well. Further back in the field, the battle between Bill Tyler and Bruce Snelston. That's the battle for the 4th spot, and you see they have some company there as well in the form of Chris Murakami. So all 3 of those guys fighting as we ride on board now with Murakami in that number 6 machine in the 6th position, and he wants that top 5 spot from Snelson.
Yeah, fantastic battle between these guys at the moment, and it's like these guys are being close together since the start of the race, or they have from what I've been watching anyway in game. As they exit the Moss Corner now, heading up the Mario Andretti straight away, and Snelson, another one of those drivers along with Murakami that they might not be up at the front challenging for wins or podiums, but they're always consistent and getting top 10 results.
Murakami has raced in both races so far this season. This makes his 3rd appearance. Snelson did not race last week at Daytona, but he is a little further down in the points standings. Well, Murakami doing his best week in and week out, at least to get his top 5 in the points. There you see them across the line at 2/10 the gap between them. And Murakami is closing in. You see he made up 2/10 last time by. Very defensive line there from Snelson, cutting all the way across the track to make sure Murakami didn't have a window to get around.
Yeah, and Chris Murakami, he's one of those drivers that if he sees an opportunity to try and go for a move, he'll take it. And at the moment, these Snelson and Murakami battling another way. It's allowing Bill Tyler just to run away a little bit and stretch a little bit of a gap.
And these guys continuing to push here on this 2.5-mile road course. You see the elevation changes there. The suspension travel is critical. You want to get that just right. You don't want the car dragging, but you need to keep it, make sure that you're getting as low as possible to keep the air flowing nicely around the car. You see how far these cars dip as they crest over some of the hills and kind of compress the springs. But man, they are just fighting and fighting as Snelson's still trying to hold on with Murakami just breathing down his neck. At the front, it's still Claridge, Olenek, and Cortinemi, those 3. Pretty big gap now between 2nd and 3rd. But there you see the number 1 of Mick Claridge and number 2 of Rob Olenek running in those same positions reflective of their car numbers. And they've got a solid gap between them now as well. It's not like we saw a couple of laps ago where it was Olenek right on the gearbox. Now they've got some space between them, a couple of car lengths, and you see the third car there in that train of Courtney. He has fallen back just a bit, so his car not handling very well for him. It seems this is on board, looking over the shoulder of Courtney, and you can see him working that steering wheel, just kind of making sure he clips the curbs, hits the apexes, and doesn't miss a mark. But he is losing the gap to the front two, as there you see Claridge and Olenek across the line, and now working lap number 10 here at Motorsport.
Yep, and it looks like these guys have dropped Courtney behind them as well. So I don't know if Toppy's maybe had an issue, but as they head up to Quebec corner now, and yeah, absolutely probably the most critical part of the track as well, to get that run heading down to Moss corner, and looking from the rear of Claridge, looking at Rob Olenek, and it looks like Claridge is starting to feel the pressure a little bit.
The very aggressive stance there, the nose all the way to the ground on Rob Olenek's car, and he wants that top spot, but he's got plenty of time to get it done. Meanwhile, little issue for Dave Cohen, just struggling to hang on further back in the field. Hits for the 12th spot. He is getting swarmed by cars, as he's going to lose spots to both Trengrade and Colin Bentley. And it's interesting to see Trengrade so far back in the field. He's struggling, it seems, just a little bit to make up some of the spots that he lost earlier on in the race.
Absolutely. I think it could just be maybe the track's not suiting Trengrade, or maybe it's just Trengrade's not had as much time to practice this week as well as the likes of Olenek or Claridge.
This is back up front. These guys still battling very hard, and that's going to open the door for Courtney. He's taken about a second off of that gap. He is right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, absolutely is, and just what's rider on board from Toppy's view, and just look at how much inside Kirby takes heading down to Moss. It's absolutely fascinating as they head round the Moss corner now, and I think Toppy's maybe just sitting here thinking, yep, I'm happy to sit here, boys, and just watch what you get up to, as it looks like Olenek's got the run on Claridge, heading down the Mario Andretti straight away.
You see him there peeking to what will be the outside, going through the S's. But he'll have the inside line in the second corner there, but he is not going to get the move done, it looks like. No, he will not. It's still going to be Mick Claridge leading lap number 12.
Absolutely, and Rob Olenek there, he was really feisty now. He's absolutely just, Claridge gets sideways into turn one.
Wow, what a fantastic save to not lose any time, and Courtney now right there as well.
I'm not. I had to hold my breath there because I thought it was going to be an incident between Claridge and Olenek, but thankfully, or luckily even, both of them managed to survive, and that's allowed Courtney to get back into this battle.
Yeah, and about half a second now of his Courtney behind your leader. He's about 0.3 off of Olenek. But man, they are fighting very hard. That save by Claridge was critical, as he knows these cars very well, and he knows how to hold the lead. He's doing that very nicely so far. Olenek still has the fastest lap of the race at a 1:15.198. The best for Claridge is a 1:15.551. So Olenek has the speed. It just depends on if he can get around Claridge or not.
And Claridge actually runs wide as well in the S's, and that's allowed Olenek to make a move around the turret.
Running him wide, Mick Claridge now shuffles from first to third, but he is still right there. Let's take a look at the replay and just try to figure out what exactly happened going into that corner.
Yeah, so it looks like Claridge runs wide in the S's, and that's allowed Olenek a chance to make a move on the outside. Both of them get together, and it ends up in a slight bit of contact, and unfortunately Claridge is the unfortunate victim in that. He falls down from first to third, and that's just unlucky.
Thankfully for Claridge, he is still within drafting range. He can catch up to these guys, and he has shown plenty of pace. as Olenek now inherits the top spot. Unfortunate bit of contact, but very great bit of driving from both guys to keep it on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just a good demonstration of great driving and respect between both drivers. And it looks like Cortinemi has got the run on Olenek. Olenek's this time around is the one that has to go to the inside line to defend. Cortinemi will tuck him behind, and he can't really do anything at the moment. But man, this is a fantastic battle.
Yeah, they keep swapping position time and time again. Cortinemi now in second place after being well behind your front two just a couple of laps ago. It's now Olenek, then Cortinemi, then Claridge, your top three. And further on back, it's still Bill Tyler now, a couple seconds clear of Murakami, wrapping up your top five.
Absolutely, as this battle still goes on as they head down to Quebec corner, and still it's Olenek still leading the race, but he's feeling the pressure from Cortinemi now. And I have to say, this is another good opportunity for Cortinemi to take another win if Olenek or even Claridge have any issues and retire from the race. But hopefully as Cortinemi gets a little bit sketchy on the exit of Moss Corner.
Yeah, we have 4 retirements so far. Andrew Ang, Roland Wallbank, Anthony Kiernan, and Benoit Langdon all wrapping up the field, sitting in the garage. Wonder if we can't take a look a little further back in the field. Hideki Koivisto holding on to the 13th spot just in front of Dave Cohen, with Andre Bruno right there as well. You see the cars kind of spread out right now, but man, last time by the stripe, they were all right on top of each other. These 4 cars just battling. There you see the interval between Koivisto, Cohen, and Bruno, and man, these guys are really putting on a show further back in the field. We always want to take a look all throughout the field because you never know what kind of battles that we're going to have. This is further up, but still not for the lead. This is Teal and Snelson. Teal and Murakami, the battle for the 5th position. And man, you see them swerving all over that straightaway coming out of turn number 1. And they're just trying to defend their position every bit that they possibly can. Murakami holds that 5th spot, and he wants that top 5 here today.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Chris Murakami is one of those drivers that he won't give you an inch. As back up at the front, the battle for the lead is still going on at the moment. As it looks like Olenek, Cortinemi, Claridge are about to go 3 wide. Don't do it, boys. It's we've still got a bit of time left in this race, but I think as Mick Claridge gets I thought it was going to be contact again. Wow.
I can't believe some of the moves that these guys are pulling off. Side by side for the lead. They wanted to go 3 wide, but Topi thought better of it as they are now across the stripe, single file, wrapping up lap number 16. Wrapping up, lap 16, now just fighting for that top spot. Things getting intense at the front of the field here at Motorsport in the Grand Prix Legends. These Lotus 49s might not be the widest car, but still going 3 wide on a road course is not exactly the best place you can put these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. No, as Rob Olenek gets sideways heading through Quebec corner, and I'm having a big heartbeat at the moment.
You take your time, catch your breath. We've still got 10 more laps, and I couldn't do it without you. Man, these races always provide a great show for you on GSRC. These Grand Prix Legends, just a fantastic car, so much fun to drive. It is a pure driver's car, as there is not any driver's aids, and it sounds like from Rob Olenek over the radio he might have some steering damage, which sounds unfortunate, and he's got 10 laps still to hang on with what sounds to be a steering problem for Rob Olenek.
Yep, absolutely. As they're coming around the final corner now to complete lap 17, and they'll start lap 18 as they come across the line now. And I have to say, it's been a fantastic battle between these 3 drivers, or 3 fantastic drivers, I should say. But back, just a little bit further back in the field, the battle for 5th place is still going on between Murakami, Teal, and it looks like Bruce Nelson has joined this battle as well now.
These 3 cars all separated by about half a second from 5th to 7th, and they are all fighting just as hard as your front 3 are. It's very interesting to watch Murakami because he'll pull out a couple of tenths on Teal, and then he gives it right back. So come through and now back to the front. Yeah, it looks like I'm taking a look at the cockpit of Rob Olenek, and he's having to saw the wheel a little bit more than the rest of the guys. The steering looks fairly straight, but he just has to work the wheel that much more as Rob Olenek goes on. And oh, wow, you see the wiggle there out of Olenek. And and around goes, is that Claridge? That's Mick Claridge.
So yeah, it looks like both of these guys are going side by side, and it's one of those. I think the damage that Rob's got, the steering damage, it didn't help, but it's always inevitable that something's going to happen when you've got two top class drivers going at it, and unfortunately, both of them didn't want to yield, and they ended up in contact.
Yeah, it looks like Claridge was trying to force Olenek into the tighter line, and unfortunately, his car stepped out on him and made contact. So now, the thick of the battle for third is Claridge, but up front, it's still Olenek leading Courtney.
Yep, and there were three, but we're now down to two in this battle anyway. So that has head down to Mario Andretti straight away now, and I think Topi Courtney is probably rubbing his hands at the moment because it's maybe just increased his chances of maybe taking another one with Olenek having that steering damage.
And this kind of reminds me of back at Monza in week number 1 of this series. Claridge battling with these front runners and unfortunately involved in contact. He had to make an incredible charge through the field, but unfortunately for him, fortunately for him, he still retains that third position. He is just about a second and a half in front of Bill Tyler. But it's now a 2-horse fight across the line for 8 laps to go now here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yeah, absolutely. As they head down to Quebec corner now, and Courtney, I think he's just sitting there planning what he's going to do if he gets a chance. But up ahead, they've got a back marker now. Not close to it at the moment, but it could hopefully don't catch it in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's the 20 of Donald Peak. Douglas Nelson already went 1 lap down. He is the last car still running. And then it's Donald Peak, and then 18 seconds up from him is Eugenio Massa. So all three back markers are coming up in front of them. They're going to have to catch them one at a time, but they're side by side for the lead. A huge run from Olenek. Is he able to get the spot? You see these guys fighting, not giving each other an inch of room. Who's going to get the spot? It's still going to be, it looks like, Courtney, but Olenek is right there.
He absolutely is as they come across the line to complete lap 20, and I think Toppy's got to do everything to try and pull away and build up a bit of a gap with Olenek having that slight damage. I think Rob Olenek is kind of realising now that he's fighting a losing battle in a way, and I think second place is better than nothing.
And by the way, it looks like Eng and Wallbank both are back out on track, 8 laps down, but they have rejoined the field here. So what I thought was a retirement was actually just them taking repairs. And you see a bunch of damage there on the nose of Topi's car. He is just absolutely hanging on to things right now as he leads Olenek by about half a second.
Yep, and they heading down to Mario Andretti straight away again. I think as Donald Peak gets out of the way, so it's good heads up driving from Donald there, and to let the leaders through. And I think this is when you'll see Courtney pulling away in the corners anyway, because at the moment his car's not damaged. He's got a slight front nose damage, but that's just due to the car decompressing under braking.
Yeah, these guys fighting very hard. What was Courtney was at 1.2 seconds behind your leaders. He's charged all the way up to the lead, and he's held it for the last little bit. And very loose. There's some contact there as well once again.
Yeah, I don't know if these guys I don't think these guys realize they're racing Lotus 49s and not a NASCAR.
Some fenders would have really helped these guys out. Contact between them has been intense and phenomenal. Side by side, Olenek still holding on to the spot, though, as they come out now into Quebec corner. And it's still going to be Olenek in front of Courtney.
Wow, this is a fantastic battle between these guys. I thought Courtney would have just pulled away from Olenek, but no, but Olenek's absolutely just giving it everything, even with that steering damage, and he's not prepared to give up.
Yeah, it's Olenek, then Courtney still. There you see Olenek in the silver machine at the point of the field and just trying to make these laps go by as fast as he can. Through the final corner, across the line, coming to 5 to go. And these guys, as always, just putting on a fantastic show. Mick Claridge, we talked about his spin just a little bit ago. He's knocked off about 2 seconds from his gap. There's nowhere near he's got nowhere near the amount of time that he needs to catch back up to these guys. In an endurance format, I would say he can do it. But here at Motorsport, with 5 laps to go, it's going to be a 2-car fight between Olenek and Courtney. But Claridge not giving up. He's just doing everything he can to hold on to that final spot in the podium. Back to the leaders, where it's still Olenek and Courtney, and these guys still not letting each other have an inch of room, not letting each other breathe, because they are fighting so very hard here down the Mario Andretti straightaway.
It's been a fantastic battle, as well as Olenek goes to the inside line to defend real early, and I think Courtney, he kind of backed out of that there. I think he's kind of just waiting, planning what he's going to do, but still, Olenek, I have to say, fair play to him, fighting to keep the lead with his damage. But been a fantastic race either way as they head down to turn 1 and they're cross the line to start lap 24.
4 laps to go through the first corner, and it's still Olenek and Courtney fighting, battling, and pushing each other to the limits of these cars. Their tires have probably faded off at this point. We've seen them slide multiple times and catch it, but man, they are not letting each other out of their grasp. But Courtney still wants to find a way around Rob Olenek.
He does, as they head down to Moss Corner now, and I think the exit of Moss Corner, if Topping can get a good exit, I think he'll get a great run heading down to the final few corners, and he's got a great exit.
He is right there on the gearbox of of Olenek, and he's thinking about making the move. He's thinking, you see him consistently popping his nose out, trying to get some clean air on the nose of that car. And he's to the outside. Are they side by side? Not quite yet. So still coming now, 3 to go. It's Olenek and Courtney. The gap back to Mick Claridge, 8.5 seconds. These guys have nothing to worry about. And then it's Bill Tyler and Geert Thiel wrapping up your top 5.
Yep, and it looks like they've got another back marker up ahead as well. It looks like it's the 22 car of Eugenio Massa. But I think Courtney, I think he's not really going for the move, but he's kind of just showing Robbie is there. But he's not. He's kind of just playing little mindset games, if you like. But I think maybe in the final lap, or the final couple of laps anyway, I think that's when you'll see Courtney start to pounce.
And I'm sure if you were able to control what your driver's hands did in the sim, you would see every time Courtney pops out of line, just giving a little wave from the driver's seat for Courtney, just into the mirror of Rob Olenek, just saying, hey, how's it going? I'm here. Don't forget about me. And they're battling very hard. This is now further back. Gary Thiel still just hanging on to that 5th spot. He's gotten around Murakami a couple of laps to go. Murakami wants that top 5 finishing spot back. This is 5th, 6th, and then there's Snelson just about half a second behind them as well. It's going to be a fun couple of laps all throughout this field wrapping as we get ready to wrap things up. We've still got 2 laps to go now as the leaders have crossed the line to take the furled white. So they're going to come around just a couple more times. It's Olenek, then Courtney, Claridge, Tyler, and Thiel. and this is still further up in the field. You see the lap car there. That is going to be, there's a couple of lap cars there actually. Is that O'Malley, I believe, is one of them. Yeah, it's O'Malley and Massa, the two cars just in front of your leaders there. So hopefully they get out of the way, do the right thing. And one of the cars was very wide, but this is incredible because these guys are still battling for position themselves, and that's a pretty interesting way to, you see your leaders just slicing through the two of them. But man, it's a very hard fine line for you as a driver. You know, you don't want to give up time to the car that you're racing for position, but you know you don't want to impact your leader's battle up front as well.
Yeah, and Toppy's looking a lot more feisty now as they're coming around the final corner, and the next lap will be the final lap of the race. And I think Cortinemi, he's got to take, if he gets a chance on that back straight, he's got to take the opportunity and possibly have to take a risk.
The final lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for your Grand Prix legend. It is still Olenek and Cortinemi up front. Cortinemi, you see it there, started third, moved up one spot as there were issues for McClaren a couple laps ago, involved in some contact. And Olenek, he started third. Olenek, yeah, started third and currently running first. Topi started second, running second. Man, these guys not letting each other go. Such a fun battle this has been the entire time. And oh, running wide, and that's going to leave the door open. Olenek runs wide, Cortinemi to the point. Looks like Olenek just missed his braking point possibly, and unfortunately had to let him go through the S's for the final time. Olenek is right there. Is there going to be contact? Oh, they do so well to avoid that. Side by side for the lead through the final corner. It's going to be... Oh, it's side by side at the line once again, and it's going to be Olenek.
How on earth did they pull that off?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I can say. Claridge comes home in third. Bill Tyler fourth, but Teal holding on to the fifth spot. And he's going to get it then, Murakami and Snelson. But man, these guys, a fantastic fight. This is a little further back. This is Plumley holding on to the A spot for now, under a lot of pressure from Colin Bentley. Penultimate corner, now the final corner, and it's going to be Plumley to the stripe. Fantastic finishes all throughout this fight. Dave Cohen now. That's Lust Olsen there as well, and the other third driver there in the shot is Emmanuel Pereira. So these guys all fighting to the end, and fantastic fights all throughout the field. A fantastic 27 laps here north of the border. As we wrap things up here, we're going to step aside for a brief break, but be back for your full field rundown as well as some post-race interviews here on the Global Sim Racing channel. and a fantastic fight to the very end here in the Grand Prix Legends. But the second win of the season goes to Rob Olenek. It's going to be a fantastic show to watch between your top three, as it was Olenek getting his second win after winning at Monza to open the season, then Courtney, who was your winner last week, and Mick Claridge with his third place finish in a row. So consistency, but unfortunately not at the top for Mick Claridge. And then Bill Tyler and Gary Teal wrapping up your top five well behind your leaders. And then it was Murakami, Bruce Nelson, Robert Premley in 8th, and then Colin Bentley and Jan Lehman wrapping up your top 10.
Finishing on 11th was Ove Trengred, with 12th going to Hideki Goivisto, 13th was Dave Cohen, and then 14th was Lars Dawson with Emmanuel Pereira on 15th, 16th was Michael Greensinger, 17th, and the first of the runners one lap down was Eugenio Massa, 18th was Steve O'Malley, Donald Peake in 19th, and rounded out the 20 was Douglas Nelson.
And you see the rest of your field there on your screen either did not finish or multiple laps down. As we get set for post-race interviews, Rob Olenek, I mean, two wins and 3 top 2 finishes to start the season. Just wow, what a fantastic race for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about the start of this season, actually. I didn't expect to win this one today. I think Topi and Mick were faster than me. I think in the race, it's really easy to follow 2 guys and keep up and make it seem like you're quicker than them when you're behind them. But somehow, little mistakes and I got in the lead and struggling to keep the lead and got bumped from behind in Moss and got a little steering damage or some kind of suspension damage that was making the car not want to turn right but turn left. It wasn't really bad, just a little weird in areas, and it was still drivable. But I figured I didn't even know who I got bumped by, so normally if the car was that kind of difficult to control, I'd probably just not want to fight someone to bump them, but I was like, well, it's one of these guys' fault. So if we bump after the fact, I'm going to fight for this position.
So you guys were fighting very hard. I heard you mention the steering damage, but you did a great job controlling it. And just talk about that battle for the lead. It was a very phenomenal fight and very exciting to watch from up here in the booth.
Yeah, it was actually awesome today. And the races leading up to this week was more like follow the leader, not much side by sides. But I think it just maybe the pressure made each one of us kind of like not be on it as much, and little mistake and another guy can take advantage of it. If the guy in front is just on it, like you got to be significantly faster to get by him here. It's not easy to follow really close through Moss and get a good run out of there. And then it's also very hard. You generally aren't going to get all the way by and take the inside. It's really hard to hold that outside. And I tried it a few times.
Yeah, 3 races in, we've had the same podium every single week. Talk about just the competition here, because it seems like between yourself, Topi, and Mick, you guys always just find a way to be exactly, on each other's gearbox the entire time.
I'm so happy it's like that. I've been driving the car a long time, and Mick was always the rabbit. Michelle was like that too when they were both fighting up front together, and I was trying to catch him. And this season, a little bit of last season, I felt like I've gotten really close, where I know that I can be close enough to put pressure on him, and anyone can make mistakes. Topi's, he just came in and was fast right away, and he puts the work in. Though I'm not going to say he's just some natural alien. He's not that. He's a hard worker and he's a thinker, and he's a really good racer too. It's awesome racing with these guys. Even I think Mick was saying earlier, his like dream season is, there's been a bunch of guys that are always around this same pace up near the front fighting, but none of us have all had a good season at the same time and have 5 or 6 car battles up front for the season. I think being 3 of us in this season and Mick being in 3rd, probably makes the closest to that we've had since I've been racing it. And the guy in 3rd right now has got more will than anyone to not end up in third.
Yeah, it's been incredible watching him after last season where he was just absolutely dominant. Now
Yeah.
he's 3 for 3 in terms of third place finishes. So I'm sure he's going to be fighting tooth and nail the rest of the way as we go to Motegi next week. But man,
Yeah.
it was a fantastic show today. And who do you have to thank? Who helped get you here?
Same as always, you guys. Great show. Dirty Torque, the team I'm part of, and the Grand Prix Legends community. It's an awesome community. See you guys later.
Yep, congratulations on another one. That's Rob Olenek, your winner here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And it looks like, Ryan, you've caught up with our second place finisher, Topi.
Yeah, Topi finishing in second after a fantastic battle between him, Rob, and Mick Claridge, and then Claridge had issues, so it was a 2-horse race for the win. And Topi, that was a absolutely fantastic battle for the win. It looked like he had that one in the bag heading onto the back straight, but Rob bravely made a move around the outside, and wow, that was an awesome race.
Yeah, it was great fun battling with Rob again. At the start of the race, it started to feel like Lime Rock. It was last season, yeah. Me chasing Mick, being maybe a little bit faster, maybe just because of the draft, and I know I was faster than Rob. And when Mick crashed with Rob, I knew I thought I had this in the bag for like 70%. I could pull a move on Rob. At some point, he went wide on many places, like the Moss on the last lap, opening an opportunity there. But that move in the S's, that was great and brave move. It caught me by surprise there, and I should have the engine got quite bogged down in the last turn, having to go a little slower than normal. I was in third gear there, so Rob was faster then, and a great move, and congrats for him.
Yeah, and also we noticed during the race as well that you had some slight front nose damage. Did that have any effects on the handling?
I didn't notice anything. I think it was from the little contact we had with Rob and in the Moss, I think, but no damage at all. I didn't notice anything.
And yeah, looking ahead to the next race next week, what's Twin Ring Motegi? Looking forward to it?
Not my favorite track. I have never raced there, so we'll see how it turns out.
Lastly, before we let you go, Topi, anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Anything comes to mind. I'm kind of speechless after this race. It was great fun.
Good stuff. As that was Topi Cortinoime finishing in second, joining us, and I believe up next, Chad, you've got a third place finisher, Mick Claridge, who was involved in that battle until issues struck towards the end.
Mick, you're 3 for 3 in third place finishes. I'm sure that's not how you want your season to be starting off.
Oh man, the McKenzie boys ain't going to be happy with this. I'm telling you.
Oh man, they have to be disappointed. You don't mess with the McKenzie boys.
Yeah, that was such a great race. I was really annoyed that it ended like that for me, really. Anyway, out of the battle, you know. Yeah, it was a shame. It was good fun running with the guys, you know.
Yeah, it was a bunch of fun watching all three of you guys there running up front for the longest time. You know, we saw you involved in contact back at Monza, and we see something similar today where you're fighting for the lead and then involved in contact, get shuffled a little bit further back, but still you hang on to a third place finish. I'm sure you can't be disappointed with that either, could you?
Honestly, no, I'm not. After all that mess, you know, I don't know what happened in the fast corner. I mean, as soon as the race finished, Rob apologised. He said, I think I ran a bit wide, but listen, I wasn't giving him much room to get around there anyway, you know. And I ran him up that curb as well on the inside on the next corner and a few laps before that. So, yeah, it was sometimes you just get, because we don't hardly ever race that close. You know, a lot of times one guy's sort of, you know, done well with his setup or something and disappears off into the distance or whatever, you know, someone spins out or whatever and it's all separated. But So when you get a good battle like that, like I know all three of us would have loved that, would really enjoyed it, I'm sure the guys have said the same thing in their interviews.
Yeah, it's been the same all 3 weeks so far, just the three of you guys kind of pulling away from everybody else, but you've been matching each other on pace. But it's been a very exciting start to the season. Looking forward, we've got Motegi next week. Your thoughts on that track?
Well, Motegi's going to be, I say Motegi. I think the whole season now for me is going to be practice and do 500 laps a week again, because I calmed it down a bit this season. You can see what's going on. It's not like last season, I always say, and the boys know it as well, I have to do a lot of laps to be able to be right on top, of what I can do. So I'm going to, really put in some laps next week and now. And then if that works next week, then I'll probably do the same for the rest of the season. But if it don't, I've got no idea how to beat these guys,
Yeah, it's been so much fun watching yourself and Topi and Rob as well, just putting on fantastic fights. I've learned last week not to mess with the McKenzie boys. Who do I have to watch out for this week?
Listen, I'll tell you, I just want to say something about Rob, because Rob turned up on a Thursday race and I beat him by 10 seconds. And he was, his set was useless. He was understeering all over the place. And then last night we raced again and I beat him just because he was making a load of mistakes and all the rest of it. And then he got himself sorted for today. And we didn't know what Toppy had for us all week, because no one's seen him in practice. So I don't know what he's been doing, secret VRS test sessions on his own or something, But listen, mate, anyone beats me, mate, they're messing with the McKenzie boys. There's 3 of them. You don't mess with them. You know the rules, guys. Come on.
I've absolutely learned that one from you. I messed around and found out the hard way, but no, who do you have to thank this week, man?
Listen, thank you guys. You always put on a good show. We always watch them back straight afterwards, so there's going to be a lot of fun and games watching this one back. And everyone who watches, there's quite a lot of guys watching. So thanks to all of those.
Well, hey, congratulations on another podium finish, and hopefully we'll see you on the top step next week.
Yeah, cheers.
That's Mick Claridge, your third place finisher here in today's Grand Prix Legends, and it was a phenomenal show once again, and I can't wait for next week at Twin Ring Motegi. But that about does it for today's show here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We have to give thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the entire squad today for for Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. I'm Chad Irvine. If you'd like to find more of our streams, including upcoming races, you can catch it all at globalsimracingchannel.com or check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. And we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.